impression again we get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word court today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Good evening, and you're very welcome to episode 346 of Treaty Talk. It's Tom Clancy, joined once again by the great Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers. We will be discussing plenty over the next hour or so, whether it be hurling, football, ladies football, camogie, or bits and bobs in between. But first, we must extend our sympathies to family and friends of the late Timmy Wolfe, we believe a former referee in Limerick, highly regarded around the county from his native Atay and beyond, for his contribution to Gaelic games in Limerick. And Matt, someone who I don't think I crossed paths with, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I did, but certainly a man that I'm sure you've you know a bit about as well.
Yeah. I was really deeply saddened to hear of the passing of Timmy Wolfe, who our paths crossed on a number of occasions during his lifetime, and especially crossed for all the right reasons. To pay a full tribute to Timmy Wolfe, Tom, we would nearly need a separate podcast. But first of all, I would like to extend a sincere sympathy to his wife and to his family, one of whom is well-known referee Michael Wolfe. Timmy Wolfe was the absolute consummate, complete GAA man. He was, of course, in his profession, he was a teacher in Atay. But what he contributed, he has left an indelible legacy on the GAA. As a player, Tom, he was a member of the Limerick team that contested the Munster final in 1965. He was also a member of the Atay team that won the club's only Limerick Senior Football Championship. I think it was in 1968, maybe. And he also won a county junior medal with Atay. Subject to correction in that year now, but I think it was certainly the late 60s. Of course, he turned his hand to refereeing. He became a well-known administrator in his own club and in the Western Board. But it'll give you an idea of the totality of his involvement, Tom. He was one of the great advocates of score, and not just advocating. He was a great participant in score, and he won an All-Ireland senior set dancing competition in score with the Atay set dancers. And if that wasn't enough, Tom, of course, he was a well-known referee as well, and very good one. And his son, Michael, is just carrying on that tradition. But he was also, Tom, one of the founders of Limerick ladies football with the late Tom Madigan and a number of others back around 1990. And we see how that has developed and evolved, and certainly it must have been a great privilege for him and a great source of happiness for him to see that Limerick won a couple of All-Irelands in 2010 and 2018, something that he founded from, it was founded from a very low base back then, and it has evolved, and we'll be talking about it later because we have the semi-finals of this year's competitions coming up, but as I say, I could go into a lot more, but to pay a fulsome tribute to Timmy Wolfe, we'd need a podcast alone, but only just to reiterate our deepest sympathy to his wife and to the Wolfe family, and indeed to the entire GAA and ladies football community. They have lost a giant in the passing of Timmy Wolfe.
Yeah, well said and well summarised. Yeah, and you are correct. I just said I'd check it here. Ate were senior winners in 1968, winners over Treaty Sarsfields, and I think I wasn't fully aware of his, I suppose, endeavours to start ladies Gaelic football, but I could be right in saying Ate were a very formidable ladies football team from the outset in the Limerick Championship. So I presume he was to the fore of that and was a driving force behind it.
Oh yeah, and they've set a record that will be very, very hard to emulate. They won the Limerick Senior Ladies Football Championship 10 years in a row.
There we go. The whole way through the 90s really was
they were on the Invincibles, and we'll be talking about them later. I'll be talking about actually, I'll be talking about like they have slipped down the pecking order a bit, but there's a fantastic tradition, and Timmy Wolf was part of it. Like as somebody that helped form the Limerick Ladies Football Association, it was obvious that he started with his own club, and like built a fantastic tradition down in the table. I have no doubt. All clubs, and even Ballygunner, will go through a valley period yet, but we don't know when. But they are going through a valley period at the moment. But they have set a record. They have set a standard. They've set a benchmark with 10 in a row.
Okay. May he rest in peace. And then, as we say, extended sympathies to all in Ate and indeed the Wolf family, many of whom are still based in Limerick. Matt, moving to matters on the field and starting, I suppose, with the Masters, who were in hard luck last weekend, beaten narrowly against London in Dublin in that Challenge Cup final. What can you tell us about this one? Because obviously we would hope there was a bit of silver come back to Limerick, but it just wasn't to be last weekend.
Oh, sure, Tom. It was very, very near it. It was a penalty in the end that was the decisive score between the sides. Limerick were beaten 114 to 111. They were 168 to 8 up at half time. And look, it was nip and tuck, and it was eventually decided by a penalty. Unfortunately, there was a small crowd there because I understand that the other four finals, Tom, are being played in pairs, and it was the odd final out, and it's played a week earlier than anybody. But look, that's a scheduling issue. But I have a small bit of difficulty, Tom, with having to travel to Dublin to play the All Ireland final, and London pop over in a plane and pop out to St. Peregrine's, and that sort of stuff. I didn't think it was very fair, but look, Anthony McCarthy and his backroom team, they've done a wonderful job, Tom. We'll say after 2 rounds of the championship, when they had lost to Kerry and Brosnan and to Clare and Kilmahel, they'd have bit the hand off you for a final place. Especially, they've been very satisfied with a final place in Tier 5, which is the Spirit Cup. But to make it to Tier 4, which is the Challenge Cup, was a fantastic performance. And of course, they got a couple of new players in this year. Not very many, 2 or 3, but they got the like of Anthony Molyneux, who was chief scorer and totally consistent through the competition. And they also got in Keith Hartnett from Rathkeale, Anthony Molyneux from St. Kieran's. 2 men who've given great service to the GA, and Anthony Molyneux is still playing with St. Kieran's. But to get in players of that caliber was certainly a big help. And overall, I was just reflecting on it today, Tom. We lost 3 All-Ireland finals. And the greatest margin was this year was 3 points. We lost the Tailteann Cup by 2, I think. We lost the All-Ireland Masters hurling by 1. And we lost the All-Ireland Masters football by 3. Now, there's other counties would give their right hand to get to that level and to get to the final of competitions. But we've become so used to success and winning finals here in Limerick now that it's a small bit of a downer. But if you reflect, Tom, it was a tremendous performance to come from Division 4. All right, we've been promoted from Division 4, but to come from Division 4 to the Tailteann Cup final where you were mixing it with Division 2 sides, and to do so in the manner in which they did it in style. And like if you take the hurling masters, winning no game last year, Tom, getting to the Challenge Cup final this year, that is certainly measurable progress. And if you look at the Masters football, in the Spirit, won the Spirit Cup 2 years ago, in the Spirit Cup final last year, and moved up this year to the Challenge Cup and got to the final and were very, very unlucky. It augurs well, Tom, for it augurs well in those competitions going forward.
Yeah, all three, I suppose, improving their innings from the previous year. That's what you want, really, isn't it? And I suppose 2026 could be the year for some silverware for those teams you mentioned. Matt, moving to action locally in football, and the Limerick Senior Football Championship was back. We had a game in July, we had a game in August, and we had the first of the games in September, which was round 3. We have some movers and shakers, as they say, and we have some teams definitely in the running, some teams probably out of the running, and some teams now maybe looking to shut the back door behind them to make sure that relegation is off the table. But I suppose we'll start with the Champions Adair, a game that we brought last weekend on streamsport.ie. A sticky enough start for them, but they rallied, and like true champions, they finished very, very strongly and ran out as comfortable enough 6-point winners over Ula, making it 3 from 3, and now very well placed in the group.
Yeah, Tom, I just would like to make a general statement before anything, to say that I think the quality of football, apart from that first round game with Newcastle West and Mungret, which was an absolutely outstanding game, I thought the quality of the football in round 3 was very, very good overall. And we had some very, very exciting games, or whether it was that I was lucky, I was at 3 of the games, I think, and all 3 were full of excitement. I saw the Adair game, Tom, and, Adair are champions for a reason, because they can win those type of games. Now, having said that, Ula got a couple of late chances, which, uncharacteristically for Ula went to begging. It could have been closer, but yeah, you're right. I think the win has Adair. Adair are qualified, Tom. In a 6-team group, if you win 3 of your 5 games, you're qualified with 3 going through.
Yeah, that's
so
it, yeah.
All that remains to be determined for Harry Gleeson and his men is it a quarter-final or a semi-final? More likely a semi-final, I would say, at this stage. But they just showed their resilience, Tom, in grinding it out. And I thought that after a slow start, they were particularly strong against the wind, and they went in at halftime up by a point, I think.
1-6 to 10 points. They
having played against the wind, and that's Adair for you at their best. I thought Hugh Burke was outstanding, and like overall, I think it was an efficient performance by Adair.
Yeah, they didn't overly flex themselves. Yeah, Hugh Burke was good, but let's take a look at the score from Robbie Burke.
Not the most prolific of scorers, but this man sure is. Where's it gone? Oh, brilliant. Sends it over for 2. Does.
Yeah, a nice 2-pointer there.
An excellent 2-pointer, absolutely.
Yeah, Jack Downey kicked one in the first half. Yeah, Ula had Eamon Lander sent off, and I suppose the worry for someone, it was a straight red card. I didn't actually see it myself off camera as well, for those watching online. The worry there is that he's going to be suspended now, and Ula probably have a tight squad for this level, and they have a win, a draw, and a loss. But
they were down a few now. They were down Paddy Downey. They were down Tom Ryan. They were down Fionn Roach. I presume it was Fionn Roach with the county minor championship final coming up. And
I believe so. Look, there was probably
he was full back for Doon, and he played well. Actually, he's a very, very good footballer, but he's equally accomplished at hurling. Tom, he's. Looking at that minor final on Sunday, I thought he looked pretty good at full back. But they certainly will have those 3 guys to come back for the next round. It's all to play for, Tom. We've some very exciting games coming up in round 3. And remind me, all are playing for the cases, isn't it?
Ula and Father Casey's, I think Raquel and Monaleen and the Piercy and Adair, I think, is the next round in
Yes.
that group. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just to, I suppose, to give the context of this group, they're 3 wins from 3. I suppose we're touching on the other results as well. Monaleen are still in second with 2 wins and a defeat. Now, it took stoppage, I think, is a 64-minute free on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it was a 65. I was at the game from Lyle Reardon that
45 now or 65?
45. Sorry, 45.
Right.
Tom.
But
from the Lyle
16 points to 15 winners over
Yeah.
Monaleen. A big result for them. They needed that.
It is, but Tom, Monaleen handed debuts to they had to hand debuts to 3 players in round 3. There was Andrew Carney came in defence, Robbie Widger, and Mark Thorpe in attack, because they have lost Dara Murray, who's going to be out for the season, which is a huge loss.
Right.
They've already lost Dara Shukru, and they've lost Paul Cross. So like Eddie Cosgrave, like you know, he's facing a challenging time, but by God, they push Father Casey's all the way. And I thought on Tuesday night that Father Casey's were as near to full strength from the squad that they have, and I believe they have a very good squad. As it is, you know, that it was the best 15 they had out. But Tom, I've seen Father Casey's twice now in the last 2 games, and I thought I saw measurable improvement on Tuesday night. From the night that they were lucky, or the evening that they were lucky to come back and draw with Ula. Father Casey's, Tom, are not out of this competition at all yet.
Oh no, far from it. This group is very condensed in the middle, I suppose, because Monaleen with 2 wins and in second place with 4 points, Ula on 3 points, Father Casey's on 3 points because they drew with each other, and Raquel now have come back into the picture with their first win. I suppose that
Ula and Father Casey's are meeting in the next round. That can't happen, sure.
Sorry, it's I don't know, do I have it to hand here? No, they've already drew with each other. It's Ula and Raquel in the next round. I think Father Casey's and is it Father Casey's and Monaleen and the Piercy and Adair. I think, sorry, that's the combination of pictures. Yeah.
My apologies on that one.
Yeah, no, we both got our wires crossed. But I suppose the other result in this one was Raquel getting their first win since they returned to senior. The result puts the Piercy, I'm pretty sure, out of the reckoning, having reached the quarterfinals in each of the last 2 seasons since their own return to the grade. So the Piercy now will be all about saving themselves, really. They're really struggling, Matt. I think it's fair to say they've beaten heavily in I suppose, game 1 against Ula, and again the other night, and probably, I suppose, comprehensively beaten enough by Monaleen in between as well. So things not going well for the Piercy, but Raquel really needed this one. They're after backing up the good performance against the Dare, which saw them beaten by 2 points. They're after backing it up now and kicking on here for a 12-point win, and 12 points from the boot of Barry Coleman. That was some time, wasn't it?
This is, I was at the game now, and it was an absolutely it was a privilege, Tom, to see the performance of Barry Coleman, not just the scores, but his overall performance, you know, and it left me wondering all the way home, had we a fully fit Barry Coleman for the Tarleton Cup?
Yeah.
You know, what a loss he was. But he kicked 5 2-pointers in the first half, and 4 of them in a row. And he kicked 2 in the second. He kicked 2 single points in the second half. But it was his overall performance. Raquel was struggling coming into the game, Tom. They had they suffered a rather heavy defeat in the opening round against against Monaleen. Really put it up to there in the second round. But last week, when in the game against the Piercy, Tom, they were down Mikey Morrissey, Paul White, Owen O'Donnell didn't start, and Adam Shaniger. You know, 4 frontline players.
Yeah, I think that Tommy Delan got injured as well, did he? Or he was carrying an injury or something?
No, Tommy Delan got injured during the week and played through the pain barrier and kicked a fantastic 2-pointer now. If he's watching, Tommy, shout out to you.
Very good.
But you know, it was a great performance from a team. You know, that was really, really troubled by by injury, and absolutely you could see the relief in Mikey Mead's face immediately after the game, and there was small blame to him.
Yeah.
But his side, I've seen him twice now, and even though they were down a number of players the last evening, the improvement from the first round, I didn't see him in the second round against the Dare, was so demonstrable, Tom, that they're not going to be a pushover for anybody.
Yeah, and they'll surely be in twos now by getting the win, albeit against maybe, I suppose, a below par in Piercy probably struggling for their main frontline players that they had in the last couple of years, and probably have had to dig a bit deeper into their squad,
Yeah, I would say that they look nailed on now for at this stage nearly to be involved in the relegation scrap. And of course the relegation scrap this year, Tom, is totally different in that the bottom two teams go down into the relegation scrap. So, like
the concern from the
relegation scraps tend to throw up unusual results, and I have plenty of experience of relegation scraps with Ballylanders in that they've been involved in the last three finals, and we'll be talking about it in a minute again. We're likely to be involved in the scrap again this year,
for I suppose for the Piercy, maybe they probably know even if they win the two games, they might still finish fifth. There's no guarantee, and it doesn't look. It's hard to see where a win is coming for them, but they will probably look at it.
Fifth here in the past, Tom, was safety.
Yeah, no man's land.
Fourth and fifth was no man's land at the end of the 5 games, but only fourth is no man's land this year. They're going up or down if you finish fourth, but just fourth and fifth up to now.
Yeah, I suppose just to put a hat in it for this group. Yeah, Adair would very strong. I think if they beat Monaleen, that's all they need to do to top the group from here because of the head-to-head and all that. One win, as long as it's over Monaleen, if you follow, will be enough for to cement top spot. And given their form, it's hard to see them not winning even both games, and getting the full complement of points. But that would be, I suppose, it was a point well made to me after the game. I think it might have been made as well that while the championship has been kind of stop-start because of the nature of the fixtures, once you get into the business end, it's pretty top-heavy. You're bang, 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 bang in terms of quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals.
Yeah, so I think Hugh made the point. It was. Made it very well, where he said, "Look, your quarter-final this week, semi-final the next week, final the following week. If you could take one of those games out of the equation."
Yeah, I think quarter-final, semi-final, and final are in the space of 4 weeks. There's the hurling final in between for senior, we'll say. But yeah, basically 3 games in 4 weeks, or else you can break it just 2 and give yourself a breather. Anyway, they're well placed in the Irish Wire Products Group 1 in the Limerick Senior Football Championship. In Group 2, Matt, I think we should probably start with the top 2, and that's Newcastle West and St. Kieran's. I suppose we incorrectly, Matt, predicted Newcastle West would pick up another win. And St. Kieran's have done something they didn't do last year after a strong start last year with their 2 wins from 2. They've now backed it up with a creditable draw, and I suppose a very nervy draw with Newcastle West, and that puts both these sides well placed now for knockout football.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be absolutely surprised. I saw St. Kieran's in the first round against Galtee Gales this year, and I felt that they were a much better side, much better set out. They have a fantastic diamond in the centre. You've Brendan McCarthy at centre back. You've Dara Tracy, Liam Kennedy at midfield, and John Hayes, who's outstanding at centre forward. So if you have a diamond of that quality, Tom, it's easy to build around it. But, they're getting a response from those players around them. And, they really put it up to Newcastle West, Tom, and they weren't phased, because I was talking to them before the Newcastle West game, and they were telling me that that their mindset, that they could take down Newcastle West, and they came very, very, very near it. And you could safely say, because of what's coming behind them, Tom, that both of them are through to the knockout stages. But it's not over till the fat lady sings. Yeah. But certainly there's a vast improvement in St. Kieran's this year, and it's nice to see them coming back there. They have done tremendous work in that club over the last 2 years with the development of their field and the development of their facilities, and 'tis great to see that sort of progress can take place side by side with progress on the field, which always doesn't happen, Tom. Very often one suffers because of the other, but they have successfully done it this year, as far as their senior footballers are concerned. And I think that they're nailed down for a place in the knockout stages.
Yeah, I'm not sure who got the last score in this game. It was one of them led by a point, and then it flipped, and then the other one led by a point late on, wasn't it? And then who equalised it, or do you know? Or which team even? Was it St. Kieran's? I think got it.
I have it in my computer, Tom, but
put you on the spot.
While I'm talking to you.
But look, I was at the Adair match myself, so trying to follow it as close as I could, and it sounded like a real derby. And I think, in fairness, sometimes people say that, but Ian Corbett did say that to me after round 2. This will be a big derby game, and he was probably right. He probably didn't wish he was right, but he was right. He knew St. Kieran's would.
It always is one of the biggest derbies, and it goes under the radar for some reason. It's always one of the biggest games, and St. Kieran's rarely fail to really put it up to Newcastle West.
Yeah, I wonder, is it because they probably haven't met in knockout football for some time? Because that really would focus the minds of the county, wouldn't it, on it? If it's
because of genuine local rivalry as well, Tom.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah, another rivalry of sorts, Matt. I suppose the City divisional rivalry after they played in hurling the week before. They were playing in football last weekend. Mungret St. Paul's 4-9 to 15-point winners over Kildime-Pallaskenry. Now, as far as I know, they got a goal with the last play to push it out to 6. But in fairness, Kildime-Pallaskenry, they were under the pump early on, rallied back to level, I think, at half-time, 10 points to 2-4, and were well placed in this game as the game went on. But Mungret probably just with the deeper panel at the moment, and maybe with that winning feeling, did enough in the end, and emerged with a couple of scores to spare.
Yeah, well, the first thing to say is it's good to see Tony McCarthy back.
He's missed too much action, really, hasn't he?
He's missed too much with on that unfortunate injury that he picked up, after having a great Tarleton Cup. And he's such a central figure to Kildime-Pallaskenry. But I'm absolutely delighted to see that they recovered, because they took a drubbing, Tom. They really took a drubbing from Newcastle West. And it's most un-Kildime-Pallaskenry not to score in the second half, which they didn't against Newcastle West. And to score only 4 points, that is not the Kildime-Pallaskenry the way that we know Kildime-Pallaskenry can play. But they outscored Mungret 15 scores to 13. But it was the propensity to give away goals that cost them. And the old dictum, the old cliche comes into play: goals win matches.
Yeah, and they've conceded 4 goals in each of the last 2 games. Now that's not all their problems, and there's many reasons for that in games, but that's a concern. It has to be a concern going forward. It has
to be a concern, and to something that they still have a chance of making it to the knockout stages. They have to win the next 2 games, and if they do, they're in the last in the last 6, they're in the knockout stages.
Yeah.
But the turnaround was very laudable. The fact that they turned around. Who have they in the next round, Tom? It's Newcastle West and Galtee Gales, Ballylanders and Mungret.
That must mean they've St. Kieran's. Yeah.
St. Kieran's.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have the hand here now, but
that's going to be a crucial game for
them. Yeah.
Crucial game.
It is. What about Mungret, Matt? Again, I suppose we must remind ourselves.
Tom, I don't think Mungret have, they haven't found the level of form that they had last year. But they're still winning football matches.
Yeah, and a win, a win the next day against Ballylanders, and I perished the thought, Matt. But I suppose they'll be expected to pick up a win, shall we say, the next day.
Yeah.
That'll move them with 6 points with a game to spare. So.
They're safely in, Tom.
Yeah,
they're safely in, and winning championships is all about timing, and perhaps they're timing it this year that they'll peak at the knockout stages, because Kevin O'Hagan and Pa Ranahan, wily students of the game back there, and they hit the ground running last year in their first year up, 5 straight wins in the group stage, really put for the Cases to the pin of their colours in the semi-final. But they haven't picked up the same level of performance, Tom, but I wouldn't be terribly worried about it. And we're saying here that they're not playing as well, yet they've won 2 of the 3 games, Tom.
Yeah, and that's the other one by a point against Newcastle West, who haven't lost a group game in many a year. No, well placed in that group. Matt, I've saved the worst to last in your instance. Bob Childs, I'm sure, is licking his lips at the thought of me talking about this one. But Galtee Gales, 1 goal and 16 points. Ballylanders, 15 points. Tell me about it. I was away at a wedding Saturday, so I got the score late, and I said, Callahan now he'll be in foul form this evening.
Yeah, Bob was very, very muted after. I think he had a tinge of sympathy for me, you know.
Really?
I kept reminding him, and I'm reminding our viewers now, he's coming on the podcast. So look out for Bob Childs in the coming weeks. So I was more interested in talking about his impending appearance in the podcast than I was talking about the football match. But Tom, it was both sides came into the game without a win.
Yeah,
and
that was the reality,
the win was crucial in the context of the group stages. And early on, playing against the wind, the game seemed to belong to Galtee Gales. But Ballylanders hit a run there before half time. Danny Froome kicked 3 2-pointers. Shane O'Donoghue who kicked 2, and I think Stephen Fox kicked 1. So the Ballylanders turned over 4 points up at halftime, 11 points to 7, and they stretched that out to 6. Shortly after halftime, Danny Froome got a couple of frees. And you were saying to yourself, they were 6 points up, Tom, by the 40th minute. But Gales kept plugging away, with a pointer. Jack Ryan got a great 2 pointers from out on the right. And they eventually, on the hour, Alan Condon levelled it. And you were saying, here goes division of the spoils, nobody hurt, no bragging rights. And lo and behold, 3 minutes into injury time, Jimmy Barry Murphy nudged Ballylanders ahead. And we were saying to ourselves, now, this is going to be Ballylanders' day. But lo and behold, immediately at the other end, in a fantastic move up the right up the field, the ball came to Conor McGrath. He unleashed the screamer, Tom, that when the goalkeeper in the world would have saved it. It nearly broke the net. And almost from the kick out, Conor Moriarty kicked the 2-pointer. So, like,
they went from 1 down to 4 up in the blink of an eye.
In the blink of an eye, it was rough justice in Ballylanders because when Jimmy Barry Murphy got that point, Stephen Fox was the provider. You'd say to yourself, have Bally turned the corner? But no, they're still waiting for that first win, Tom, and they look likely to be involved in the relegation semi-finals, Tom. But they have experience and they have form in relegations, so.
They do. It's testing times for them, isn't it? I think it's 3 finals in a row in the relegation, so they finished 6th.
Yeah. They beat Galway, they beat Cahan, they beat Ballysteen 3 years in a row.
Yeah, the Grim Reapers maybe we'll have to nickname them if they end up in another one and they relegate someone else. But look, there's plenty of football.
Just keeping the good wine to last, you know.
All this for it, and a club who contested the senior final into 2020. So
2020, yeah.
It's look, they'll hope, I suppose, that their younger players will come on. But credit to Galtee Gales, in fairness, Matt, for going for the jugular in terms of that goal. They could have easily probably settled for a point, couldn't they? But
absolutely.
Yeah. So puts them back into the hunt, I suppose, for top 3. They'll probably need to be flawless though from here. They probably need to win their last. They have a tough game coming up now against Newcastle West in the next round. So they need to get something from that. You feel if they're
if they're to make the knockout stages,
and then they've Kildare and Balskenry in the last round as well. So
if the worst came to the worst for the Gales, if they don't finish, if they don't get into the knockout stages, if they don't finish 4th, if by chance they cascade into the relegation semi-finals, I wouldn't be terribly worried about them. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, look, potentially, and it's a while away yet, but a big game in round 5 between themselves.
But of course, Bob Childs had nothing to say to me, Tom, because I predicted they'd win by 4 points.
Oh yeah, as did John actually. Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I was.
but if I had predicted that, if I had predicted maybe 2, 3, or 5, he'd maybe be gung ho.
Right, but you did
God
say
forbid, had I predicted Ballylanders.
you did say you told him, that it was coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to watch the match. You were so accurate. Okay, Matt. Moving to the intermediate grade. I suppose we'll be coming back to football later in the month when we have the senior football when we have rounds 4. In intermediate, Matt, Skeeton, Ballysteen, Kilcornan, they're, I suppose, cutting through the opposition. They're 4-18 to 1-13 winners over Glyn, making it 3 from 3 into the knockouts. I'm pretty sure with, well, actually, maybe not because of the way there's 4 teams who have at least 2 wins, but they're well placed, shall we say, for knockout football. After 3 wins from 3, they're putting up some big totals, Matt, and they're trying to make light work of this intermediate grade and get straight back to senior.
They are, Tom, and I saw them in the league final against Galway. They were beaten by a point on an evening when they were without Danny Neville, who was, of course, involved at that stage with the Tarleton Cup. But then David O'Shaughnessy, who scored 2-9 on the same night, they have a very, very serious forward, and you can just imagine himself and Danny Neville, intermediate defences, trying to plan how to cope with the two of those. It's not going to be easy. Like that, they're one of the favourites, Tom, to win the intermediate football championship and possibly make an immediate return to senior ranks, because I thought in the first place, even though Ballylanders beat them, and I've been saying this for a couple of years, they play good football and don't always get the reward that they should get, but they're into the knockout stages, and they're going to be they'll make the semi-final, Tom.
They'll win the next
Kilcornan will be in the semi-final. You can take that as
I suppose also chasing down in this group in the Griffins coaches intermediate, also chasing down I suppose knockout football are Drum Broadford, who are now 2 wins from 3 and 10 points to 1-5 win over Clahan. I'll come to Clahan in a second because I tell you they must be pulling their hair out given their form, given the results so far. Kappa were I suppose brought a little bit back down to earth.
That was the result that stuck out for me at the weekend, the St. Patrick's win over Kappa. And
Kappa had won their first 2 games.
They had, and it brings St. Patrick's right back into it because they have now won 2 games.
Yeah,
they've beaten Glen and they have now beaten Kappa.
Yeah, well, there's two wins for Drum Broadford, Kappa and St. Pat's, and I suppose 2 into 3 or 3 into 2, as they say, it doesn't go. So one of them will end up.
There's going to be a battle. There's going to be a very interesting concluding stages. Final 2 rounds to that group, because you have 4 clubs, like you have Drummond 4, you have Pats on 4, you have Skeeton on 6, and who's the 4th one there?
Kappa on 4.
Kappa on 4.
Yeah, and it's Clahan and Glyn without a win, without anything yet. But like Clahan, St. Pat's are playing Clahan next week, or in the next round, I should say. There's a derby game for you straight away, and then Kappa will go to Glyn, or face Glyn, I should say, hoping to pick up the points that will put them back into the picture, and Skeeton and Drum, if Skeeton win that one, I'm pretty sure they have the group 1, or very, very close to at least. That'll be a semi-final for them, but obviously Drum could flip that on them, so it's...
absolutely, Drum lost, they lost to Kappa on the day which they were without Cillian Fahy.
But they bounced back with that win the other night now against Clahan. While I mentioned Clahan, Matt, I think they've lost all 3 games by a score or less, and the way I look at it, I'm pretty sure they're now in relegation. They're actually almost...
they're in relegation, and I think it'll be very little consolation from the fact that I think that they have no worries about relegation, but they have to go through the motions of participating in it. It's looking likely now at this stage. They've been narrowly defeated, as you said, in all 3 games. And I saw them earlier in the year. I saw them in the league semi-final against Galway, and they just lost that one by a point, actually. And I'm surprised having seen them in the league, Tom. And the league, as you know, is not a great guide to the championship. But I thought I saw enough about them that they were going to make a decent shot or a decent attempt at the league, but or at the championship. But with 3 defeats, Tom, it's most unlikely it's most unlikely. I think it may be even mathematically out of their hands at this stage. But look, they have to keep plugging away. Of course, they could always, avoid the relegation scrap by finishing in 4th place. But
yeah, I don't think.
But there are 4 heavyweights ahead of them now at this stage.
The only way to get out of that would be if they win their 2 games, and then they'd have tried to get the head-to-head on
St. Pat's.
St. Pat's. Oh yeah, beat St. Pat's and hope St. Pat's lose their last game, and they'd have to beat Lynn in their last game as well. Then would Clahan. So look, they'd have to get the 4 points and see what happens. But they're out of the running as far as I can see in terms of knockout football. In very disappointing terms, Lynn, you'd have to be worried for Lynn's format over the last 3, 4, 5 years. They have not pulled up any trees in this grade, and it ain't looking any better at the moment, unfortunately for them.
No, and I just sometimes wonder about a couple of teams in this group, and this is not a criticism of those teams or anything, Tom. It's just being pragmatic about it. Would they be better served at Premier Junior Football Championship? Because there are a couple of clubs there this year. There are a couple of clubs in the Premier Intermediate Championship, that just haven't made a fist of it. Let's say, and of course, this is a competition, Tom, that has a checkered past.
Oh, don't say it, Matt. Come on, we've been over the walkovers year after year.
We have been over it, and at that stage, Tom, I was advocating at the time that the structure of that competition would be looked at, and I'm still clamoring for it, Tom. I'm afraid, because there are a couple of teams in that particular competition that have fallen off the ledge, and I think something needs to be done to strengthen the competition, and it would be in the interest of all teams, Tom, to be interested in all teams. Now, I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, did you suggest it before, but we must move on now as well. But having an 8-team intermediate like the Premier Intermediate, but the problem we see there in the hurling is there is very tight number of weeks to conclude this competition. Yeah. So when you bring it to 8 teams and you play, everyone gets 7 games, and I understand it would be more games, might entice more players, might entice more, upward skills and all the rest of it. But that's 7, 8, and then 9 games to be played, you're
talking about an ideal world there, Tom, but we don't live in an ideal world.
Yeah. But anyway,
it should be an ideal solution. You can see the logistical challenges that the Premier Intermediate Hurling Championship are presenting year on year.
Yeah,
it has to be started before the main tranche of championships, and it goes on a week afterwards. Now, it will be going on with the county senior. There'll be quarterfinals in all the other groups, in all the other competitions next week.
Well, it's the way the Premier Intermediate syncs up is it starts around earlier, and then when there's quarterfinals in all the grades, they play their last group game, and then it gets in sync then with the rest of it. But
it gets in sync.
It is only 1 week, but you're trying to find a week where there is literally no weeks available. Okay, looking at the other group in this one, Galbally made it 3 wins from 3 with a 5-12 to 1-13 victory over Palace Green. Gerard Griffins got their season, I suppose, off the mark, really. 13 points to 8 victory over Newcastle West, and Crocora Manister were no match for St. Senan's, 3-13 to 1-7. I suppose it's similar enough.
I just want to go back, if you would indulge me for 1 minute. Go back to
I know we've got to all the other codes now as well, Matt. So watch the clock.
This is just a sentence. You must remember Clahan were beaten semi-finalists last year.
Yeah, and they were in senior. What, the year before was it? Yeah, I know. Yeah, very fine margins for them this year, unfortunately. But look, Galbally, St. Senan's well placed in that group. Palace Green, Gerald Griffins, and Newcastle West really kind of clamouring or fighting out for the other group, other spot really at the moment, with Palace Green best placed with a win and a draw and a loss to date. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who can make through there. But Galbally looking to form team overall. Themselves in Skeeton, Ballysteen, Kilcornan looking to 2 farm teams out of the 12, Matt. I think that's is that a fair statement?
And they met in the league final, and Galbally retained the intermediate league this year, and they're definitely going well, and they're definitely through to the knockout stage now. Senan's, of course, are going well as well. So, but it's very hard to predict. You would certainly say that Galway and Simmons are coming out there, but who the third team will be, you
could throw your hat over 3 of them. Yeah.
It looks like Palace Green to me.
Yeah, but see now how they bounce back from that defeat. 5-12 they conceded, so they'll have to bounce back. Matt, moving along to the other. I'm just trying to. Sorry, just changed my notes. To ladies football, I should say, is where we go next.
Yeah, Tom,
we're down to the last placings.
We're down to the last placings, and second chances are all over. We're into the serious business. It's win or out from now on. You have plenty of chances all along in the group stage, which was only a seeding process, and then you had the quarterfinals, which was the winners were going through to the A semi-finals, the losers going through to the B semi-finals. So what has emerged, Tom, is that we have and the A semi-finals between Monagea and Old Mill. It's a West Limerick derby, and the other one is between St. Ailbe's and Drumculloher Bradford. Now St. Ailbe's beat Ula at the weekend. It was a pretty tight game enough. Old Mill defeated Mungret St. Paul's. Again, a very tight game. They got 3 goals in a 6-minute spell, which really challenged Mungret. Monagea proved much too strong for Ballylanders. Ballylanders, unfortunately, Tom, and it doesn't give me any pleasure in saying so, are in trouble this year. And they've lost about 6 players that featured in the county final last year, including Camogie star Mairead Ryan, who has given them tremendous service over the years. And in the final game, which I was at, between Bradford and Fiona Castlemahon. So that sets up the semi-finals, as I told you, Tom. And we have the B semi-finals then, and they're going to be on it. Now, the A semi-finals are on Sunday week. St. Ailbe's and Bradford is in Knocklong at 3:45, and Monagea and Old Mill is on in Sean Finn Park at 3:45. Now, the B semi-finals, Mungret are playing. I'm not 100% sure of the venues. Mungret are playing Ballylanders. I think it's in Carrelli, I think. And
I haven't seen these myself. So
and Ula are playing Fiona Castlemahon in Fedamore. Those games are on at 11 o'clock. Now, Tom, we're down to the semi-finals as well in the intermediate. And the intermediate pairings are Knockkenny against Galtee Gales, which will form the curtain raiser in Knocklong to the senior semi-final between St. Ailbe's and Bradford. And in the other semi-final, we have Father Casey's against...
trying to find them here now myself. I thought I was sent them the other day. But
Father Casey's against Maru Bohor. And
right.
That is going to form the curtain raiser to the other senior semi-final in Sean Finn Park.
Yeah, some good thinking there, Matt. I think it's fair to say.
I compliment the ladies' football and Limerick ladies' football on really putting their thinking caps on and really having, they're going to be both occasions and they're going to be both big days, Tom. The B semi-finals then. I know that Monaleen are playing a Tay in Kappa in the intermediate B semi-final. That's definitely for Kappa. Now, I haven't the venue for the other one, which is between Adair and St. Bridget's.
Okay, just trying to find it here now. I know the ladies Gaelic football had them on their social media. I just can't. No, it's under 14th. Anyway, I don't have it to hand, but I suppose Limerick ladies football will have those exact fixtures, times and venues on their social media, and I'm sure some of the clubs will have them as well.
Well, Tom, the ones I gave you were the ones I was certain of.
Yeah, perfect. Fair play. So look, we'll see how the semi-finals, I suppose, particularly at senior level, go with obviously Monagea, Bradford, Ailbe's and Old Mill, the winners of the right match. Just a final comment on it. We'll be right in saying the 4 teams that had being higher in the group that were at home, did they all win their games? Am I right in saying that?
Well, Drumcolour Watford are unbeaten, Monaghan are unbeaten, Old Mill are unbeaten, and St. Albans have lost once.
No, but what I'm saying is the teams who had come first or second won through anyway.
They did.
And they used home advantage.
You had Old Mill and Drum, and you had Monaghan and St. Albans.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so
very interesting, Tom. The 4 teams that are in the B semi-finals have one win between them.
They've all won one game, is it?
No, they've won one game. Mungret have won a game. The other 3 haven't won a game.
Sorry, yeah, Mungret beat Fiona Castleman.
They beat Fiona Castleman. Fiona Castleman have no win. Ula have no win, and Ballylanders have no win.
Right. All the pressure on Mungret. So,
and they could some of them could still end up with silverware. 2 wins.
Yeah, that's it. 2 wins will do it. Matt, I think we'll just move to Camogie before we come back around to hurling, which I know a lot of our listeners will be tuning in for. But Camogie, we're down to semi-final stage. Am I correct?
You are, Tom. No. We're down to round 3.
Sorry, round 3. Yeah.
The only team that's absolutely through to is the champions Newcastle West with 2 wins, and they play Croke at the weekend. They go to Croke at the weekend, and Croke have no win. So just as Newcastle West are destined for the Cup semi-final, Croke Kilfinney are destined for the Plate semi-final. But in between them, Tom, there's the possibility of a right humdinger between the Piercig and Bruff, both of who have won 1 game.
Winner will advance.
And the winner will go to the Cup semi-final. The loser goes into the Plate semi-final. If 'tis a draw, it's advantage in the Piercig by a couple of points on scoring difference.
Good. Yeah, that's well, there you go. That's the value of putting up big totals in the game. Other games are keeping it tight when they're losing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They could use the draw to good effect there.
Now in the other group, Tom, we have Monaleen on 4 points. You could definitely say that they're true, but it's not 100%. There's a small bit of jeopardy here. Now they go to a Han in the final round, and at the other end of the table, you have Adair with 2 defeats, who will have to settle, I think, for the Plate semi-final. But in between, then you have Killeedy. Killeedy go to it. Killeedy play there in the final round. Now Killeedy in the last round went to a Han and won, having lost at home to Monaleen in the first round. So if Killeedy were to win, and if a Han were to beat Monaleen, you would have 3 clubs finishing on 4 points, which would mean that the 2 clubs that will advance to the Cup semi-final will be determined by points difference. And don't ask me the state of play at the moment, Tom.
No, because you don't know anyway. So how it'll wash up with the final results. That'll be some scenario, wouldn't it? With 4 points, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I suppose those games so matter for this. Is it this Sunday?
Yeah, the Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. Sorry. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Best of luck to all connected. We'll see how it washes out in terms of who will be in and who will be out, or who will be in the cup and who will be in the.
Look, Tom, it's that time of the year when there's huge excitement right across the 4 codes. Like you wouldn't want to be making 2 of yourself. You'd like to make 4 of yourself. You'd like to see them all.
Yeah, well said. Moving to senior hurling, Matt. So I suppose we'll try and keep it simple then, and I know people will be aware themselves. But we'll start with Group 1, the Whitebox Limerick Senior Hurling Championship. But just to mention that all 3 games in this competition at the weekend are being streamed. That's namely Patrickswell versus Napearshig, Doon versus Ahan, and Kilmallock versus Ballybrown. While also from Group 2, we will be bringing you Adair versus Newcastle West. So plenty at stake for many of those clubs. Starting, Matt, briefly, I suppose, with the group leaders. Napearshig, they're playing Patrickswell. Not an awful lot to say here. Patrickswell are guaranteed 6th. Napearshig are guaranteed to be
semi-finalists.
Semi-final, first or second, it doesn't matter. They're in the semi-final.
It doesn't matter. They're in the semi-final anyway. But
this is just a tune-up for them, I suppose.
It will probably be first for them. It's your classical dead rubber game. Who would have thought of it that when these 2 teams would face up, that would be a dead rubber for opposite reasons?
Yeah.
because normally we'd be associating these clubs
It was-
in a dead rubber with both of them through, you know. But
Yeah, it was the 2023 county final match, you know. So
it
like,
was.
you know, let's not forget that.
It is what it is now, and that's what it is. And you know, there's very little to be said about it. You'd be surprised if Na Piarsaigh don't win it. And yeah, hear people saying that you know, Na Piarsaigh will probably field a different team. I don't think that's going to happen, because they have an intermediate team who are in the running to you know, to come out of the intermediate thing. Plus the fact that, Tom, it will be their last series competitive game before a semi-final.
For nearly a month, yeah.
Nearly a month.
Yeah, the thing with the, I suppose, rotating players, I suppose they will change in some instances. You imagine Peter
They will
Casey.
change, and there'll be a
the
chance
likes of
to give
Peter
more
Casey-
game time to the like of Peter Casey and these players, you know. But
So they're not exactly shooting themselves in the foot like by doing that.
no, I wholesale changes. No, I can't see it.
No, I don't see it. Patrick Swell, I suppose it will end what has been a very disappointing season for them, where I suppose 4 defeats from 4 is nearly unprecedented for the club of their stature. But moving on to, in terms of Doon, people will be wondering how the Doon guarantee second. Well, Doon will know they're more or less guaranteed second anyway. But unless they're absolutely hammered by a hand. But Doon's scenario, they want to win, I suppose, to prep themselves for their semi-final, which is very, very likely. There are 2 wins and 2 draws. They want to keep that unbeaten run going, I suppose. And I suppose they want to, I suppose, Coit and Ahan, who are their somewhat near neighbours across there in the east. So that's the card for them. For Ahan, Matt, they know it is a win or they are out of the championship. They will need to win, and then they'll need a result to go their way as well in the other game. But Ahan need a win. Doon don't, but Doon will want to win because they probably haven't shown their true form to date.
No, Tom. Doon haven't shown their true form to date, and the only one that, of course, that landed a punch on Doon in last year's championship was Ahan, who beat him in the final round. And I think that they'll be kind of conscious of that as well. And I have a sense with Doon that they will. I think, Tom, that you will see a vast improvement in Doon over the next couple of games, because it's down out to the serious business. We're into the business, into the competition. They have, I won't say ambled along, but they just haven't been at their best. And here they are, Tom. They're 2 wins, 2 draws. They're in definitely a quarterfinal, if not a semi-final, and they haven't broken sweat. So, I think Doon are going to complete the job of qualifying for the semi-final, putting any vestige of doubt that's about it to rest. Now, Ahan will give them plenty of it. Now, whether, Tom, there was 3 key players who have made themselves key players on the Ahan team. I'm talking about the 3 minors. Whether there'll be a fallout from the loss of the minor championship also to Doon last weekend, whether that'll play into it. But you can expect Doon. Doon will tell you, Doon connections, you know, have a couple of them have told me over the last 2 weeks that Ahan always give them trouble. You know, and we've seen it. Like the score lines are there to verify that. But like, there is jeopardy at stake for you know, there really isn't for Doon, but other than to ensure that they get into the semi-final. And I think Doon are going to do it, Tom.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. The thing for Ahan is Ahan need to win their game. You know, easier said than done, as we always say. They need to win their game, and actually they need to just hope that there's a winner in the other game.
Yes.
And because if that's a draw, it'll knock them out on scoring difference, unless they win really big. But I don't. You know, if they're going to win, they're probably going to win narrowly. Their scoring difference is the poorest of the 3, namely Ballybrown, Kilmallock and themselves. So they need to win. That'll bring them to 5 points. Ballybrown and Kilmallock are on 4. If they draw, that would mean 3 teams on 5 points, and then it's down to scoring difference if you follow. So if there's a winner in that one, they will jump the loser, shall we say, if they can win themselves. But yeah, the hardest part of that bargain will be to win themselves against champions Doon, I think. Ballybrown and Kilmallock, they'll probably have a small eye on the game in Cappamore, but they'll know themselves. It's all in their own hands. A win or a draw will see them into the knockout stages. The scenario is the same for both clubs. Ballybrown, marginally better place in terms of scoring difference, but both teams both teams on 4 points. Kilmallock with 1 win and 2 draws, and Ballybrown with 2 wins. So, a win here, and that will put them into third place and guarantee knockout hurling again.
Yeah, there's a scenario there, Tom, which is very unpalatable for Kilmallock were it to transpire, were they to lose to Ballybrown and a hand beat Doon, they're out of the championship and haven't made the knockout stage, which is. Like, if you had a situation, Tom, on Saturday evening where Kilmallock and Patrickswell failed to make it through, it would have seismic ramifications, Tom.
I would say it's probably never happened that the two of them haven't been in the knockout. One of the two of them haven't been in the knockout. It's probably never happened that it's probably been it's over a decade since Patrickswell missed out. It's probably the similar time for Kilmallock. So.
No, we have a situation where we were talking there a while ago about a hand always proving difficult for Doon. Likewise, Ballybrown are always, and this will be music to your ears, Tom. Ballybrown are always make life difficult for Kilmallock.
Even last year's quarter final, there wasn't much in it. I think it was 2 or 3 points in the end.
Yeah, like Kilmallock now are the only thing in Kilmallock's favour at this stage, there are a lot of things in their favour, but a big thing in their favour is the fact that now Kieran O'Connor and Graham Mulcahy, I think, picked up knocks in the last game. They'll be hopeful that they would be available, and Robbie Handy is getting more game time under his belt, which will be very, very important for Kilmallock. And Kilmallock will have to find a way to negate the influence of Aidan O'Connor, and I thought in the game against Doon that I thought Lee Doolan was absolutely outstanding at midfield. Had a fantastic game. Yeah,
he got 3 points and was involved in an awful lot of play, wasn't he?
He was involved in everything. There wasn't a thing he wasn't involved in, and it's going to be. What's the story on Josh Adams?
As far as I know, he's out of the running with an injury, a foot injury, I think. So, he looks to be out. I think David Hall is out, and there's probably 1 or 2 other injuries they're not making me aware of. But they've been hit by
Colin Coughlin is really in good form, Tom. Very, very good form.
I think came on a fair bit in the last game, kind of moving out a bit further out the field and seemed to suit. But look, it's horses for courses. They'll have to keep a close eye on Shane O'Brien, won't they? And they'll have to get their matchups right themselves. And I thought they did against
Micheál Houlihan.
They did against Doon, didn't they?
They did. You look around, and there's a lot of taking care to be done, with the Kilmallock forwards. But I think Kilmallock are going to win it, Tom, but only just.
It's a bizarre one where a team could lose this and then still get through. They could be looking over their shoulder and they might hear that Doon have won and they say, "Well, grand, we get to go again." And the following week in the quarterfinals. So it's a funny predicament.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah,
the two can go through if Doon beat a hand.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, or even a draw in that one should be enough. It will be enough unless Kilmallock are heavily beaten. Is my thoughts on it. But look, I think this is going to be a very tight game. Moving to the other group, Matt, it's where it's probably not as straightforward. In some scenarios, some things are. Monaleen have the Group 1, 4 wins from 4. They're playing Kildare and Pallaskenry, probably looking to do what I've been talking about for a while. They won 3 games the first year back senior. They won 4 games the second, and they're looking to win 5 this year. And they want to roll nicely into the quarterfinals. That's the card for them. Kildare and Pallaskenry, who are currently in 5th in the group, can still come in the top 2, I think, but they'll need an awful lot of things to go their way. They'll also know that a draw or a win will guarantee themselves senior hurling again next season, which is probably maybe more on their minds than knockout hurling. That's that one. Mungret St. Paul's against Drummond at Lacca. Drummond at Lacca have to win. if Drummond Lacka do not win,
Drummond Lacka have to win, and hope that other results fall their way. And the results that they'll be looking to fall their way are Adair beating Newcastle West and Monaleen beating Kildimo Palestine. In such a situation, you'd have a 3-way playoff.
Yeah, well, they need. If Drummond Lacka win, they need one of those results.
One to lose would do.
Yeah, if Newcastle West or Kildimo.
Either Kildimo Palestine or Newcastle West to lose.
Yeah, just to explain that to people, if a team cannot be relegated on head-to-head or on scoring difference, you can win a group on that, you can reach the knockouts on that, but I suppose you cannot be relegated on those parameters. So Drummond Lacka need to get to 3 and need to hope, if they get to 3, that there's another team waiting there with them, and that will force a playoff.
A playoff.
Yeah, that's the scenario for them.
Now, Tom, it's tight between Adair and Mungret as well. Were Mungret to win and Adair lose, Mungret get the semi-final or the quarter-final.
Yeah.
Were Adair to win and even Mungret St. Paul's to win, Adair get the quarter-final.
Well, Adair Mungret need to better their result because Adair are on 5 points and Mungret on 4. As far as I know, if Adair draw, if we have another draw in this group of draws, because there's been so many draws, if Adair get a draw and Mungret win, they will be both on. What would that be? 6 points, and as far as I know, Adair have the better scoring difference. I believe. I think that's what they have anyway. Overall, I don't have the actual numbers to hand.
Because it will come down to scoring difference, not the head-to-head, because they drew.
Yeah. So I suppose that's to bring it back full circle. That's where scoring difference can decide teams going up the way, but not teams going down out of the grade entirely. I think it's hard to see past. Maybe Monaleen having the momentum to beat Kildimo Palestine, although the motivation might be slightly lacking compared to their opposition. I find it hard to see Drummond Lacka, given the injuries and given the form line so far, to see them picking it up, but backs to the wall.
Monaleen will look at it, well, of course, they'll go straight into the quarter-final and they'll want to go in, Tom, on a winning note.
Yeah.
Terribly important.
That's true too, yeah. Adair, obviously best place to come second, and they haven't played knockout hurling since 2017, I think, even.
Yeah, it's quite a while, and Matt Foley will be delighted with the turnaround, because they had only 1 point after the first 2 games, but now they've beaten Kildimo Palestine. They look very, very impressive in beating Drummond Lacka, and it's not just. And now I know Drummond Lacka at the bottom side, but it was the comprehensive manner in which they did it, plus the performance of Declan Hannon, which augurs terrible well for Adair this weekend. Tom, would have this team in the Senior Hurling Championship to beat on Newcastle West?
Yeah, they've lost 1 game by 2 points and they've drawn the other 3. So
they've drawn the other 3, and what I say to them is hats off to them. Fair play.
If they get to 5 points,
and his gang back there.
Yeah, if Newcastle West do win, they'll join it there on 5 points. What they need to happen for them to come second, they will have the head-to-head on it there. They need to make sure that no one else gets to 5 or more. So they need Mungret St. Paul's to lose to Drummond Lacka, and that will put Newcastle West into second and into the quarterfinals. So there's a lot of scenarios here, and you look at the equality between these teams. There is. I would rule nothing out at the weekend. I would rule absolutely nothing out.
The permutations, Tom, are endless.
Yeah, the only team that cannot transform their season is Monaleen, because they've already done it. All the other 6 or the other 5 of these 6 can sort themselves out in a big way, and they can change the mood music for better or worse, actually, in their season. So look, let's see what happens. Go on, you're coming with a citation, are you, from something?
No, Tom. Only just we finished the hurling. Oh, we're not. No.
Well, that's the senior hurling. A 2 p.m. start on Saturday for all of those. Adair and Newcastle West. A reminder, that's the big focus in terms of streaming for these games, just to bring those 4 games. So if you're on the couch at the weekend, you can watch a game at 2 o'clock, 3:30, and then you have your choice of games at 5 p.m. So not a bad option for those who are not heading to games, but even then you can watch them on the go on your phone. So
and in fairness, Tom, to the fixtures committee or whoever made the fixtures, they're giving a chance to everybody in the final round, and it's similar the following weekend with the football when you have staggered starts and yeah, you know, I'm talking about people with season tickets who are quite upset there when some of the games were on at the same time. But
Yeah,
at least
spread
now
around a bit more now.
there's an effort made to spread them around.
For sure. Just moving to the Lions of Limerick Premier Intermediate grade, Matt. Gary Spillane and Croke Kilfinney, I suppose they'll just look to secure their top 2 spots really at the weekend if they can get wins over South Liberties in the case of Croke Kilfinney and Granite Ballingarry for Gary Spillane. They're leading the way. Effin well placed just behind them on 7 points. Granite Ballingarry, a big week for them because I suppose with 2 rounds left to go in this competition, they probably need at least 1 win, if not 2, to be assured of their spot. 1 win might do it, depending on.
Tom, they may not. It has only happened once since the competition that anybody with less than 8 points qualified. I think it might happen this year because I think by a Saturday evening you're going to have 3 semi-finalists: Gary Spillane, Croke Kilfinney, and Effin.
Yeah.
If the three of those win, now Bruff could have a say in the game with Effin.
Yeah, but see, that's it. If they beat Effin and Granite Ballingarry have lost, then then you're heading into the final weekend, and it's a real scramble for the 2 spots, isn't it?
Yeah. Now Bruff will have Croke Kilfinney in the final round.
But again, we've seen it before with teams. If Cork Kilfinney have their business done, you know, that can take a certain level of off, and there may be injuries there may be absentees. So, and there's lads playing football as well with other clubs, so there could be, you know, look, there's a lot of road to travel before that. But you're right, there could be a fair chance that 3/4 of this group will be decided at the top end anyway, coming at the weekend. So just give the fixtures: Friday evening, Croke Kilfinney versus South Liberties at 7:30 p.m. in Adair. Bruff versus Effin on Saturday at 1 p.m. in Kilmallock. A 2 p.m. start for Gary Spillane versus Granite Ballingarry, and Blackrock and Glenroe in South Derby in Knocklong at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday.
The bottom of the table, Tom, with my Glenroe hat on, if Glenroe beat Blackrock, the relegation will be a straight shootout. If South Liberties lose to Croke Kilfinney, will be a straight shootout in the final round between Blackrock and South Liberties.
Yeah, and again,
that's with my Glenroe hat on now.
Yes, yeah, but reminder, the relegation can't be decided on head-to-head or scoring difference. So with Blackrock and South Liberties both on 2 points, I suppose the aim would be to pull well clear of each other. Whoever.
Well, they meet in the final round.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, but a win would say if South Liberties could pull off a surprise win this weekend, a draw the following weekend would do them. But if they only win this weekend, Blackrock could drag them right back into it then, you know what I mean? And vice versa if that's it. But look, that game, as it looks at the moment, stands to be a big one. But I think the Rockies will have something to say about it this weekend against Glenroe, and might try and sneak their way out of trouble with heading into the final round some bit. Okay, Matt, I know we've discussed minor action in both codes as well. Is there anything else on your mind?
Just Tom, can I just pay a tribute to Joe Quaid, who joins us here on the podcast, who announced that he's stepping down as Limerick Camogie manager this afternoon. So, we'd like to thank Joe. Certainly, as far as the media is concerned, he's been a gift. He's been so forthcoming to us all. He's a great colleague to join us here on the podcast. But he's done a fantastic job in adverse circumstances. It was his second stint as Limerick senior Camogie manager. His first stint was trophy laden, an All Ireland intermediate in 2014. He was also involved in the minor A in 2014 and junior A when we won 3 All Irelands. And he came back at a time last year, at the start of last year, 2024, when we had lost a lot of players for different reasons and for various reasons. And he steered a very difficult course through league and through championship, and had challenging times with injuries and everything. But I think, Tom, it is only fitting that we should say sincere thanks to Joe for a job well done over the last 2 years. And thank him for being so forthcoming at all times with his time, pre-match, post-match, anytime. Joe would talk to you and give you his mind, and always gave it to you straight, So
sometimes he talked too much, and I mean that in a good sense. He tell you too much nearly from his point of view.
But Joe leaves the job, Tom, with his head held high, and he has left the nucleus of a good young team coming up. He put in new players. He trusted them, and with All Ireland under 16 A team coming through over the next couple of years, there could be exciting times for Limerick Camogie around the corner. But to Joe, for the moment, well done, Joe. Hope to see you sometime in the near future in another capacity. But for now, thank you.
Yeah, fair play. Okay, yeah. Well done, Joe. And it echoes those sentiments. It was very pleasurable to deal with down the years when we covered those games for the Limerick Camogie team. Just to mention, Matt, briefly, I'll just skim over here myself. County Intermediate Hurling Championship Group 1 for Rory and Cappamore. That's a straight shootout for a semi-final spot. Both teams on an impeccable 4-from-4. Phoenix Kilmeedy and Hospital Herbertstown are vying for third in that group, with Hospital marginally better place with 2 wins. Windhoff for Fina will see them trump them, and Croom and Mungret looking to avoid the relegation spot. A draw enough for Croom to seal 5th, but Mungret look to flip that one with a win. And in the other group at this grade, Maru Boher already assured of a semi-final spot heading into their final game against St. Kieran's. St. Kieran's will need a result to guarantee safety in the grade, but it's Fiohanna 2 wins and a draw, Napiershik 2 wins and a draw, and Nakani 1 win and 1 point, 1 draw. Looking to secure the other spots. I think Fiona well placed facing Palace Green, who could be in relegation bother, while Napiershik and Nakani is basically a straight shootout, with the winner of that one likely to be in third spot for the knockout. So that's that. And I know, look, there's loads of permutations down the grades, but folks will try and keep you up abreast of those next week with who's in and who's out of the various grades. I know one of the junior grades has an almighty concoction of results between so many draws now, where I think nearly all 6 teams have a viable opportunity of reaching knockout hurling. So look, I'm sure plenty of people will be interested in those as the weeks go on. Matt, we had a quartet of minor titles handed out in the last few days. I suppose to mention the minor C one first was Grana Ballingarry getting one over their near neighbours Knockaderry, and bringing home the minor C grade.
It was in many ways it was a landmark win for Grana Ballingarry, Tom. It was their first at C grade, but as John Lynch was telling me, it was the first. This is one of the first years that they have been out on their own.
They would have been with. They've been with Knockaderry some years. They were definitely with Croom.
They've been with Croom, and they've been in different amalgamations, but. John, and I'm sure Grana Ballingarry were very pleased that they fielded their own team this year, and that they've come home with silverware. Congratulations to them, well done. I suppose congratulations as well to Doon, which a second premier title in 3 years, Tom, is absolutely phenomenal, Tom. But it's only evidence of the work that's going on over in Doon. Like a club like Doon, which with a limited population enough, Tom, fielding 4 adult hurling teams. One of them who are the current senior hurling champions. They have a junior A team who are one of the favourites for the junior A championship, and a junior B and a junior C team. And to pick up a second minor, that's where it's all coming from. Winning under 20 and minor championships, the amount of work that's done at grassroots level over in Doon is a paragon for all clubs. When I hear clubs saying we can't do this and we can't do that, go over to Doon and see what they're doing.
Yeah, that's it. That's the hurling titles. I spare a thought briefly, Matt, for a hand. I watched the game. We obviously had it streamed. I know John was there for us. I felt the hand were the better team. And look, you don't always get a deserving sport, but Doon hung into the fight. But I thought a hand, some very good players, some very good scores, some very good defending, but just couldn't get over the line. And it's the hardest part of sport is to see out the results in a tight game like that. They just weren't able to do it.
I have said it earlier on in the context of the senior football between Mungret and Kildare Palestine, the importance of scoring goals.
Yes, and three of them in the last 15 minutes of action, or
Last 15 minutes.
Yeah. And credit to Doon, they hung in there. They were definitely outplayed for long periods, but the result was never, I suppose, sealed by a hand until, well, it just wasn't sealed, and Doon snuck in the back door and took the win. In football, Matt, we had a couple of titles handed out. We had the minor, was it C grade, I think, or B?
Well,
sorry.
I was out at the minor A last night, and
yeah.
hand got consolation. They beat Ballylanders 5-11 to 2-9 now. They were very worthy winners. Darren McLaughlin got 3 goals. He was involved in the hurling the previous day, but their captain, Donald Dawson, who was also involved in the hurling, was absolutely outstanding, Tom, at centre half forward. Really, really, really good footballer. Now, they deserved it. They were up 3-5 to 1-3 at half-time. Bally thought they had levelled within 6 minutes of the restart. They got a goal and 2 points, and then they got a goal to equalise, but it was disallowed for a square infringement. 4 minutes later, went down at the other end. Ballylanders conceded a penalty. Donald Dawson took it. Jackie Maloney, the goalkeeper, blocked it, but he couldn't block the rebound. And from then on, Darren McLaughlin added his 3rd goal. So that was it. 5-11 to 1-9 it ended, or 2-9. And, I'd have to say a hand were worthy winners. And it's more than a crumb of consolation for having lost the hurling final. Now, none of the 3 big hurlers were playing. Maybe they don't play football. I'm talking about John O'Connor, Conor Ryan, or Jack Cosgrave. None of the 3 of them were on the team, but there were quite a number of minors, like Cormac Ryan and Anthony Donoghue and all those players. They were all playing last night.
Just to, I must compliment a hand on their, I suppose they've pushed recently at 20s and minor level in both codes. And football, I think it was strong back there nearly 80 or 90 years ago at this stage when they were hoovering up titles in both codes at adult level.
Well, they won 5 senior football titles in a row, and they haven't won one since.
Yeah, but I mean, they've certainly flying the flag for both codes, and obviously we saw their junior football team last year.
Yeah.
Getting it so it's great to see the club promoting both codes and long way.
Tom, but Tom, this wasn't just a team put out. This was a well-prepared team.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't even saying that.
This was a team that work was put into. And there was somebody telling me during the course of the evening, yesterday evening, that it's not just at this level that they're strong. They're strong in the grades down along, and that a lot of work is going into it. And full compliments to Han, and congratulations to Han. Congratulations also to Hospital Helberstown, Tom.
Yeah, beat me to it, yeah.
Who won the minor B championship. They beat St. Patrick's 3-8 to 1-11. That was played in Capamore. And Hospital Helberstown might be going through challenging times, we'll say, at adult level at the moment, but they're still in with a shout in the Premier or in the Intermediate Championship, and they're always there or thereabouts. But much the same in junior football. But it's very, very nice to see him getting an underage title and winning it by a goal. Also nice to see Pats in a final.
Yeah,
because it must be very, very hard with all the competition of different sports in the cities to put out an underage team now. The like of the Piercy would have no such problems because young players would gravitate towards the Piercy. But fair credit to St. Pat's, to get to a final. That's one of the games that you wish there wasn't a loser, Tom. But congratulations to Hospital Helberstown bringing the title south. We'll take it all day.
Also, we'll know more about the Premier football grade at minor level as well by next week. Mungard are already in the final, and as we speak, then we're waiting on the opposition for them. But Matt, look, I know the clock has always run away from us. I hope we've covered plenty there for folks that they enjoy hearing about in terms of football, hurling, ladies football, and camogie. But for now, I think we must sign off, and I'm sure folks will be seeing you at various different games at the weekend. I'll be at 2 or 3. I'm sure Matt will be at many multiples of that, but that's what we go for, and we shall chat to you over the weekend.
Yeah, it's trying to figure out who's playing where. I just don't appear she can fairness of playing with maybe 7 backs. It's not a sweeper system, it's kind of zonal. Will don't know who's popping in there. They're closing the space. And it's working.
Breaks down. There's a chance
for
here.
goal.
Yeah, breaks through on goal. Keith Dempsey. Dempsey looks for it back at the net.